welcome back to my channel and welcome to today's video. If you can't tell by the title, we are doing my top 15 books I want to read in 2025. I was originally going to do 25 books I want to read in 2025, but that just seemed a little bit ambitious, especially when my goal is only like 60 books. So I wanted to do something a little bit more achievable, so we're gonna do 15. I really wanted to make sure these books were on my physical TBR already, just because I really want to make it a priority to get through my physical TBR this year. I know there is a lot of amazing new releases coming out this year, and I will for sure be wanting to pick those up, and I probably will, but I really wanted to kind of prioritize these two books that were already on my shelf, and then that way we can kind of hopefully get my unread books off of my shelf. Not off of my shelf, but you know, read on my shelf. So these are all of the books that I kind of have compiled that I really want to get to this year and make a priority. Some of them are going to seem absolutely ridiculous to you because I think some of them everyone has read except for me, and some of them are maybe a little bit weirder or newer, or you know what I mean, something a little bit kind of more off. So we're gonna go through them and I'll give you a little bit about each one and why I want to read it. So the first book I'm going to start with is probably the most intimidating to me because not only is it the start of a series, it is the start of a whole new world, a whole new group of lovers that love this world, this author, this series, this everything, and I'm a little bit intimidated by all of it. I feel like that you have the like Sarah J Maas fans and then you have the Brandon Sanderson fans, and they are kind of different, but I feel like they are starting to cross over. I want to get into his world and his universe and his writing. They just seem so fun. Everyone seems so invested and in love with these books. I really want to get into the Way of Kings series. Now, this is where I need your help because I have heard so many mixed reviews on how to start in the Brandon Sanderson series. Brandon Sanderson series. I've heard that you can just jump in right into Way of Kings. I've heard that you should start with Mistborn because it's a little bit easier to grasp and understand. Please let me know what you think. I do have the first of Way of Kings. I do not have the first of Mistborn, but if my reading journey and experience is going to be better reading Mistborn first, please let me know. I've heard so many mixed reviews and I just really want to get started into this world the right way because if I know anything, my Sarah J Maas reading order has been really impactful, and I always make sure that anyone who starts Sarah J Maas books like reads it the way I want them to read it. I'm very passionate about that, so please let me know because I want the best reading experience. I want to fall in love with the writing, the characters, the worlds, so please let me know. But I do have Way of Kings physically, so I did put this on there, but I really just want to start the whole world this year. So let me know where that begins and we'll hopefully get the first book done. But yeah, Way of Kings, I just have the little guy. He's thick and I really want to get into this. I've heard so many good things. I don't know if anyone else is on the TikTok audio sound that I'm on that has made me want to read this, but yes. Another one that is really intimidating I want to go into, speaking of Sarah J Maas, I have read Throne of Glass, I have read ACOTAR, I have not read Crescent City yet, and I have been putting this off. I don't know why. I feel like there's a lot of different reasons why I've been putting it off. First of all, I don't want the worlds to end, and I know they're not technically over yet, but I feel like this is the last 3 books that are out that I have not read, and once it's over, and that part kind of makes me a little bit sad, but also I am a little bit intimidated by this as well because I have heard so many things about it, especially further on in the series. I know some spoilers, which is also why I'm a little bit sad to read it because I did hear about some spoilers, and I also have heard that the third one isn't as good, and that kind of makes me sad because usually the more into a series you go, the better it gets. So all of those have made me kind of put it off, but I really want to make sure that I am prioritizing like forming my own opinions this year, and so I really just want to go into this and try to ignore all of the things I've heard and just really kind of come up with my own opinions and thoughts for this series. And I mean, I have heard good things too, don't get me wrong, I've heard really good things about them as well, and I am excited for some of the spoilers that I have heard about, but I really want to just freaking read this first book at least and just get through so I can say I've started Crescent City and I can keep going on and moving on with my Sarah J Maas journey. So Crescent City is on my list this year. The next kind of series books I want to get into is actually the Bridge Kingdom series. This has been around for a while, but it is recirculating because they are all getting like newly published in these really cool covers. So I picked up the first one last year because I saw it and I thought it was so pretty. And when I read the back of this book, it seemed like it was right up my alley. Warrior princess, kind of like an assassin maybe, I don't know. It says she's trained in isolation. She's also a bride under the guise of peace, so she is going over to this kingdom as a bride, and it says that her feelings for her husband transform from frosty hostility to fierce passion. Lara must choose which kingdom she'll save and which she'll destroy. So that's kind of fun. Enemies to lovers is always a good time. It's also pretty short, which I do enjoy sometimes in fantasies. I love when you kind of cut out the filler and you get right to the point, and I'm hoping that's kind of what this is. This series is a little bit different too, because I've heard that I think like the first two follow one person, and then the more you go on, they follow different people in the series. So that's kind of cool. I am really interested to see where this goes, and I think it would be an easy one to pick up, like I said, because it's so short. It's not an intimidating big fantasy book, and that is one I really want to get into. I really just love when you get into fantasy series and just really fall in love with characters, and I feel like ever since Throne of Glass, I haven't really been doing that besides Zodiac Academy. Zodiac Academy is really making me find my love for that again, and just really getting into long fantasy series that you just feel like you are a part of, and that's what I really want to get out of some of these books I'm showing you today, and that is one of them. Another one I have been seeing floating around, Heavenly Bodies by Imani Iru. I don't want to say that wrong, but this one sounds really, really good. It says, in a world ruled by the cruel and merciless stars, Alara has been cursed by fate. A prophecy promises she will fall for a star, but that it will kill them both. Again, another romantasy, enemies to lovers. This one seems like it's going to be a series too, I believe. And I've heard so many good things. I think I saw Emmy rate it 5 stars, Emmy on YouTube. She read this and rated it 5 stars, and she absolutely loved reading this series, so that's what kind of put it on the forefront of my TBR and something I really want to get into, because I definitely love the romantasy books. Another one I really want to get into is the Hurricane Wars. It came out, I believe, last year, and it just got recently published into this really pretty paperback version, but this one sounds really good. I haven't really heard much about this. So it's about this Hurricane Wars, which I don't know much about, but the main character has magic in her that she is starting to discover and learn about, and magic has been thought to be gone for a long time. There is a war going on, and I guess the love interest, I'm assuming, or the enemy, also is a weapon who has the same magic she does, but because he's the Emperor's son, I think it's okay, and no one else has this magic but her, so they both have this what called shadow magic powers. It says their powers merge to create a strange new force, and a dangerous forbidden attraction reveals itself. So it sounds really good. The second one just came out too, so if I love it, I can jump into that one as well, and I just think this would be a fun, different kind of fantasy. Like, it's the same, but it's a little bit different, I feel like, in the setting. So that will be a really fun one to read this year. I would love to get into that. This is actually one I recently just picked up, but I'm still putting it on here because it sounds really good, and the reason why I want to put it on here is because one of my goals this year was to pick up more books that I haven't heard anything about. I also want to stop following reviews. Like, I think I mentioned the first thing I always do when I'm looking up a book at a bookstore is look it up on Goodreads to see the rating, and that really determines whether I'm going to get it or not. And so this is one of those books where I'm practicing not caring about ratings and not caring about if I've heard it before. So that is The Empress by Kristen Cass. I have heard nothing about this book. The reason it caught my attention on the Barnes & Noble table is because of the cover. I absolutely think it is such a beautiful book. It's actually published by Bloom Books, which Bloom Books publishes a lot of the romance books that we love, like Flawless, Wild Eyes, like all of those fun romance books that we all know and love. And so I thought it was interesting that they had like a little fantasy that they published. This one sounds, again, like enemies to lovers. It has a lot to do with the tarot cards, which is really cool. I think the premise is really good. Basically, the main character finds a tarot card in the snow, and it transports her into this whole new world. When she enters this world, the people there are very cruel and try to kill her, but one of the main male characters, Kane, ends up saving her and nursing her back to health, and then they kind of go on a journey from there. And obviously it's going to be a cute little lovers situation, I'm sure. Again, this one's not very long. It's pretty short, and it seems like it'll be a really good book. I'm not entirely sure if it's going to be a series or not. It's going to be really good, and the ratings on Goodreads aren't high, but they're not low, so I'm really just trying to go in and form my own opinions on this, and I think that this could be a really fun read if it's done well. I love the premise of it, tarot cards and stuff. It reminds me a lot of One Dark Window, the Providence cards, and I think that's what really drew me to it, and it does seem like it's going to be a little bit more gothic and dark, so we love that. Next, this one is a scary one for me, but the reason I want to put this on this list is because I recently just read the Mind F series. I will not say it on this channel, but I just recently read that series. Absolutely loved it. I didn't think that dark romance was ever gonna be for me, but I read that one and it was a little bit, I would say, lighter compared to what I think I've heard of other books, but I really don't know. When I read it, it didn't seem as bad as I thought it was going to be. And I really enjoyed the story of it. I feel like the plot in that book was absolutely amazing. The reason why I have stayed away from dark romance is because I always thought it was going to be more spice and not so much plot, but I absolutely loved the story of that series and I read them all so fast. So I looked to YouTube for some other dark romance recommendations because I want to start dipping my toes into it, but I am proceeding with caution because I could feel myself easily getting turned away. And one of the books I really want to try from like the dark romance is The God of Malice. I have seen so many good things about this, and again, Emmy on YouTube here, she is one of my favorites to watch, and she is also recently just gotten into dark romance, and I think she actually started with this one if I'm not mistaken, and she rated it 5 stars. I absolutely loved the entire series, so I really want to try it out. Again, I'm going to proceed with caution and hope that it's similar to the other series I read. This one's a little bit thicker and it's like 5 books I think, but they just got republished and they all got sprayed edges and they look so cute. I do love the covers of them. I think like the black and red is really pretty. This one has a lot to do, I feel like, with obsession. I think that the main male character is very obsessed with the female main character, and it seems like it's kind of just going to be one of those, she's infatuated by him but she shouldn't be with him, and just like the morally gray, just everything about it. I am really interested to see if I still do like dark romance after reading this. Let me know what you guys think and if you have any recommendations for dark romance, because like I said, I'm slowly dipping my toes into it and we'll see if I like this one. Another book slash author I really want to get into in 2025 is Before I Let Go by Kennedy Ryan. I've heard so many things about her books, specifically this one though, because it is a little bit different of a romance fiction book. This one follows a couple through the process of divorce with kids. I feel like that's something that's so different and not really talked about in books, and it was so interesting to me. I really am drawn to books that really pull at my emotions and really make me feel something, and so I feel like this is a really good one for that, because I've heard that it's heartbreaking, especially reading through her eyes and in her head, and basically watching someone that you love kind of step away from you and maybe even love someone else, and just the process with the kids. I think it's going to be very emotional, but I also love books like that, and I just really want to get more into those kinds of books because they're a little bit more realistic, and they also make you feel things and make you kind of process things that you never thought you would have to process. And I've also just heard that Kennedy Ryan's books are amazing, and I really just want to start with this one and see if I like her and keep reading her books because I've heard so many good things. Okay, another one I've talked about on this channel before but I still have not gotten to is Beartown by Fredrik Backman. I have been seeing so much about this recently. Sarah Caroli on YouTube has just finished the series, and she rated every single book in the series 5 stars, which is so crazy. Like, when have you ever rated an entire series 5 stars? I have no idea, but that just made me want to read it so much more. Again, this is one of those literary fictions that you just go through emotions. It pulls at your heart, you feel things, you get attached to characters, you're just seeing so many things happen right in front of you. And this is about a hockey town where something tragic happens. I have no idea what the tragic thing is. Luckily that hasn't been spoiled for me, and I'm really curious to see kind of what's going on. Basically, this hockey team bring a lot of attention to this small town because they are going to like the semi-finals or something like that. A lot of attention in this small town, very sports hockey heavy town. That's pretty much all I know, but I'm really excited to get into this, and I want to read it in the winter, so this is what I'd rather read sooner rather than later, just because of the setting and everything. I want to read it when it's a little bit colder, but this is definitely what I want to get into. And then I want to get into the rest of his works. He has this series and he has some other ones that I'd really like to get into. I think like Anxious People. I can't remember all the other ones, but he has quite a list, so I'd love to get into his writings. I've heard it's absolutely amazing. Next, this is another one that I feel like everyone has read but me, but I also feel like like I had to wait until the right time because I'm only recently getting into literary fiction, and so there is no reason why I would have picked this up earlier in my life, but now is the time. I really want to get into Normal People by Sally Rooney. First off the bat, my first impression, I love how short it is. I feel like this would be an easy one to kind of just read as like a palate cleanser or something in between one of my fantasy series. Basically all I've heard about this series is that she doesn't use quotation marks. I don't know if that will mean anything to me or not. I don't know if that will make my reading experience any different, but I know a lot of people are either annoyed by it or find it fascinating. I don't really know. But basically you're following two high school students, I believe, who grew up in a small town and kind of just their relationship through the years. Connor is popular and well liked while Marianne is a loner, but when the two strike up a conversation, awkward but electrifying, something life-changing begins. It's a story of mutual fascination, friendship, and love. It takes us from the first conversation to the years beyond in the company of two people who try to stay apart but find that they can't. I love books like this where you kind of meet characters when they're younger and kind of go through their life with them. I really enjoyed that in Tomorrow and Tomorrow and Tomorrow. I really enjoyed that in Firefly Lane. I just love when you kind of see friendships start and then you also see them grow and progress and see them a lot later in life. So I feel like this will be a really good one. I really have no expectation on this. I don't know much about anything of it, so I'm really curious to see if it's gonna be like heartfelt, heartbreaking. Like I have no idea, but I really want to go into this one this year. We are down to our last 5. I feel like we are cruising through these. This next one is another one I have not read yet and everyone's been reading it, but I feel like I kind of needed to wait a little bit for this one because of the hype is insane, but that is Lightlark by Alex Astor. I don't know why I put this off because it is everything I love in a fantasy. I've heard there's trials, enemies to lovers, morally gray, like there's just all the things that I absolutely love. I just feel like, I don't know, at the same time I've read so many of these and I've never gotten tired of one yet. So I really want to get into this series, especially because the third one just came out. So I have kind of a lot to kind of go back and read. I don't have to wait necessarily unless I read them super fast because I think she does have more coming out in the series. This is about an island that appears every 100 years where the different rulers of these kingdoms around can break their deadly curses. I guess each ruler or kingdom has a curse and they can fight in these trials every 100 years to break these curses. And that sounds absolutely so fun and amazing. It also seems like it might be a little gothic, which I absolutely love. I do have the first 2. I don't have the third one yet, but I really want to get into this one, and especially because it is YA. I think I could honestly fly through this. I probably want to get to this one pretty soon. I have been in the mood for something like this, so I will try to get to this one this year, hopefully sooner rather than later. Let me know what you guys' thoughts are on this book because I've heard mixed reviews, but overly I feel like I've heard really good things. It seems very much like Hunger Games, Powerless, like all those fun little books that I absolutely love. So please let me know what you think, but that is one I want to get to this year for sure. The one I really want to read is Ninth House by Leigh Bardugo. This is a one that I have really felt like intimidated by, I guess you could say. This one is kind of another one that I really think I'll enjoy because it is gothic, dark academia, it got magic, it's got a school. Like I love those kinds of settings, but I've heard that you have to kind of get into it before you start to enjoy it. Like I've heard you have to get to like there before you enjoy the book, which I hate when it's like that. Like I hate when you have to really push yourself through a book before you start enjoying it, but I also know that sometimes it can be the most rewarding. So this is one of those books I really want to kind of practice that with, and who knows, maybe I'll enjoy the whole thing. But again, I am very heavily influenced by other people's opinions, and that's what I've heard and that's what I feel is going to happen. I feel like at this point I'm just manifesting all these things to happen in my experiences, but this one sounds really good. It is about Alex, who is an unlikely member of Yale's freshman class. She's raised in Los Angeles, hinterlands by a hippie mom. Alex dropped out of school early and into a world of shady drug dealer boyfriends, dead-end jobs, and much, much worse. In fact, at age 20, she is the sole survivor of a horrific unsolved multiple homicide. I did not know that. That's crazy. Some might say she's thrown her life away, but at her hospital bedside, Alex is offered a second chance to attend one of the world's most prestigious universities on a full ride. What's the catch and why her? Still searching for answers, Alex arrives in New Haven, tasked by her mysterious benefactors with monitoring the activities of Yale's secret societies. Their 8 windowless tombs are the well-known haunts of the rich and powerful, from high-ranking politicos to Wall Street's biggest players, but their actual activities are more sinister and more extraordinary than any paranoid imagination might conceive. They tamper with forbidden magic, they raise the dead, and sometimes they prey on the living. So really interesting. I have no idea where this is going to go, but again, I really want to try to kind of go into books that scare me, or maybe I have heard really mixed reviews about, and kind of form my own opinions and go in, because I honestly, as a reader, I'm very easily pleased. I feel like I have never hated a book. I usually just enjoy the journey, and if I hate it that much, I'll DNF it, and I won't kind of put myself through that. But again, it takes me a little bit to DNF a book, and so I am just interested to see what I think. Okay, again, this is one I've heard a lot about. I'm gonna say that a million times in this book, but The God of the Woods was a really popular read from last year. I feel like this one is kind of marketed as a thriller, I believe. It takes place in a summer camp in 1975, which I kind of love when books are taking place in the 70s or like the 80s. I think those are fun. A 13-year-old girl goes missing, and it isn't the first time that someone has disappeared from this camp, and they kind of go on this search to find out what happened to this missing child, and this drama unfolds, and I guess there's so much more to it and so many more years of different secrets and things like that. It sounds really good. I've heard amazing things, that this book isn't just any like thriller or fiction book, that it's really amazing. So I'm curious to see what I think of it. I was not initially interested in this when it first came out, but for some reason I keep seeing more and more about it, and now it is on the forefront of my mind. So I really want to get into this year, and I think it'll be a fun read. Last two, these ones are both super random, but I absolutely love Taylor Jenkins Reid. Let me just say, I love Taylor Jenkins Reid. I have not read one of her books in a hot minute. I think the last one I read was Daisy Jones and the Six, but I love the Daisy Jones and the Six, The Seven Husbands of Evelyn Hugo. I just love the whole, I think it's her like Hollywood series. I think that it's so fun so far. So I want to continue in that series, and I want to continue with Carrie Seto Is Back. I have heard so many good things about this one, and it's a 5-star read for a lot of people, I believe. She is coming out with another book, I think, in the same kind of series, Hollywood thing. It's called Atmosphere, about a woman going up into space. And so to prepare myself for that, because I feel like some of them do interconnect, I would really like to continue with her works. I think I just have to read this one and Malibu Rising are the two that I need to read, but I just love her writing. I love her storytelling. I feel like she really just is like a time machine in her books, because she really transports you to these moments in time that are happening, and it also feels like you're reading almost like history or documentary on someone's life, that this person is real, this person lived, and they were here and they're famous. And like, I especially felt that way with Daisy Jones and the Six. Like, you could not tell me that is not a real band, and that they were not actually famous, and all of that stuff happened to them, because it just feels so real. I just feel like she is so good at storytelling, and so I really want to get into these other two. Again, these are really fun ones to pick up as palette cleansers in between fantasy books or anything like that. I know you'll pick it up and you'll have a good time, and so I really want to continue with those. I don't know which one I'll start with first. Malibu Rising and Carrie Seto. They both intrigue me, but I just wanted to put one of them on here because I really want to continue with her books, and I know she has some other ones as well that aren't part of the series that I'd like to get to, but these are on the forefront of my mind as well. Another one I really want to get into, I feel like this is kind of a little bit of an older popular book, but that is The Kiss of Deception. I want to read this because I kind of want to get into all of her books, Kiss of Deception, Dance of Thieves, but I know you have to read this series first is what I've heard. But it also does sound really good. Basically, this girl, she flees on her wedding day, and she's stealing ancient documents from the Counselor's secret collection. She is pursued by bounty hunters sent by her own father, and she is the first daughter of the House of Morgan. The House of Morgan is steeped in tradition and the stories of a bygone world, but some traditions Leah can't abide, like having to marry someone she's never met to secure a political alliance. Fed up and ready for a new life, Leah escapes to a distant village on the morning of her wedding. She settles in among the common folk, intrigued when two mysterious and handsome strangers arrive, and unaware that one is jilted prince and the other is an assassin sent to kill her. Deceptions swirl, and Leah finds herself on the brink of unlocking perilous secrets that may unravel her world, even as she feels herself falling in love. So that's kind of fun too, is that there's two, I'm assuming, love interests in this book, the assassin and the prince. It's giving a little bit of like Dorian and Kale, maybe? I don't know, but I loved that. I know not everyone's up for a love triangle, but I do enjoy a good love triangle, so I feel like this might be really good. I also just love that she kind of is just on her own. She escaped, she's on a mission, so that's gonna be kind of fun. Again, it's a shorter fantasy, but it'll unlock a whole new world if I get into it and I continue the series and jump into the next series. So let me know if you read this one. Again, I think this one was a lot popular maybe a few years ago, but I am just now wanting to get into it and I want to start at the right place with this one. Those are the 15 books I want to read in 2025. I feel like I just ran through those, but let me know what you guys think of any of these books and if you have read any of them or if they are on any of your guys' lists this year or what are on your list this year, because I'm really curious and I really am excited to get into reading this year. I have been slacking. Let me just tell you, I've been slacking on reading this year. I've read 2 books and it's already, I think, the 20th of January. So we really need to pick it up over here. And so I'm probably going to start some reading vlogs this week to kind of keep myself accountable. So look out for those because I really want this year to be a great reading year for all of us and I want to find fun and exciting books to read. So thank you guys so much for watching. Make sure to like and subscribe. Let me know what you guys want to see and I'll see you guys next time.